Welcome to the Across the Pond WNBA podcast, Across the Pond Liberty. I'm Stacia.
And I'm Kirstin.
Since we last had an episode out for you, everybody, the Liberty have gone 4-0 in the regular season, beating the Sparks, the Dream, and then the Lynx. But nestled in there is a Commissioner's Cup game loss, so we didn't get the money this year, so we cannot talk about. Last year episode was really great when we get that money. We're a little disappointed, but we're going to start not with the Sparks game, where the Liberty won 98-88. We're going to start with the Dream game about a week and a half ago, where the Liberty just decided that the Atlanta Dream were their kid sisters, and they decided to beat them up, having a 62-38 halftime lead. I don't know if there's ever been a game where I can just say, why are we going to show up in the second half? But that's what it felt like after this game.
Yeah, no, it was an absolutely crazy scoreline in that first half. We had quarter one, 29 points for the Libs, and in quarter two we had 33. Following on by what was a much closer second half, but thank God we were so far ahead at the halfway. With only 1 point in it in the third quarter and 2 points in it in the fourth. So it was a closer game towards the end. But yeah, thank God for that first and second quarter.
Well, I mean, that first and second quarter, I know that they didn't, have to worry as much in the second half, so it was pretty even. But you talk about excellent shooting, where you're shooting 26 of 45 from 2-point range, and then 10 of 25 at 40% from 3-point range, and missed one free throw. It was just a barrage of scoring, like, so easily. Then Phoebich was our starter, who had 33 minutes, and that was, none of the other starters were just under 33, or were under 33 minutes. So everybody kind of got like plenty of rest, which was good because they had the Commissioner's Cup game coming in after that. But everybody scored. The bench scored. Burke scored 6 off the bench. Markeisha Davis. This is, I think, one thing that I'm happy about. The rookie that doesn't get many minutes had 9 points, was going in, had some layups, was attacking, had 13 minutes and had 9 points. That was nice to see because it just is going to be a rarity. So she had like her nice little window to score, and she made it happen. So way to go, Markeisha Davis. And then Jokic had 6 points again and was just doing well when she gets her minutes, has been very thorough with how she's played. So I have a lot of faith in this bench. That's what I could see. Even though they didn't win the second half, they didn't have to. But the bench came in and scored and did their job. So yay bench for New York.
Yeah, I think that having this game against the Dream right before the Commissioner's Cup was like really beneficial for the team. It meant that our starters could rest, our kind of stronger players that we really needed to be putting the minutes in that Commissioner's Cup game. They could kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit, and our bench came in, and it's also just such a great opportunity for them to really like get some proper game minutes. I mean, I know Phoebich was starting, but 33 minutes, she had the most minutes out of any of our players, and she performed well. And it's just really, really good to also know that push comes to shove, we can also rely on these other players to play those minutes, to have the energy to keep playing for that long, and to also be able to perform. So it is very reassuring. And yeah, like you said, Markeisha Davis, it's really cool to see her finally getting some minutes, putting some points up, and getting more of an opportunity to kind of integrate into the league.
And we only had 8 players because Sloot wasn't playing, even though she was back with the team. And then Benijah wasn't playing because she's still resting her knee, holding them out for the Commissioner's Cup game, which is what we're getting to. This was one loss in the past, 10 days for us. It wasn't a regular season loss, but it was a money loss, so it hurts. The Minnesota Lynx went, 2-0 against us this year, winning 94-89 in the Commissioner's Cup final. And it was just it was a really good game, and there was your favorite quarter, or what you always said the most important quarter, was the dagger for the Liberty, getting outscored 19-10 in the third quarter and ultimately losing by 5. That was it. That's all it was. It was the third quarter. So, you, third quarter guru, what do you have to say about that third quarter for the Libs?
Ugh, it was just frustrating to be honest, like, it's I always say this about the 3rd quarter because I see that you play your first half and the score is whatever, but as soon as it comes to that 3rd quarter, you're you go back to 0-0, you're resetting the game, your momentum's gonna slow down, you're resting, and as soon as you come back in, you need to come right back in at that same high intensity that you ended the 2nd quarter in, and we just didn't do it. I mean, 10 points only in the 3rd, it was just really rough to watch, just, like, a few just, like, silly mistakes, and I'll say as well, every game where we have JJ playing and not performing, we really, really struggle. I think JJ is just a much like such a significant player on this team that I think sometimes her like effect on the team sometimes does get overlooked. It's like when she performs well, we win. When she doesn't perform well, we struggle. And I don't think there's really any other player in the team that has that kind of effect. I feel even with Ionescu, she's had a few bad games. Brianna Sturz, she's had a few bad games, but it's when JJ has a really awful game, we struggle so much to pick up back from it. And I think her in particular, her energy is electric, and she seemed very frustrated in that game. So yeah, just frustrating to watch at times. I think the first half was pretty decent, and then coming into that second, it was just yeah hard to watch at points.
Well, and the Libs were up at the end of the first half by 3, and JJ hadn't scored, and then I think she'd taken, like, 1 shot, and then the 3rd quarter, they were like, "We wanna establish her," and then everything was so forced to try to get her the ball, and Minnesota just converged so well, and I said this on the Across the Pond WNBA, podcast that because we were recapping this, that they really looked like Ted Lasso's at practice where they had the red string all attached to themselves because there was multiple times where you could see Minnesota like perfecting the shell drill, be like, "Oh, she picked up like, she's driving, can, compact all the help defense." And so it was just and then right when a player picked it up, just out or knowing where the ball is on the pass to JJ and just converging. And then the angles were bad on the entries to JJ. And it was frustrating. I was also frustrated because game fitness, Nyjah was out. She'd only missed a few games, but Sloot came back and was playing, and Kayla Thornton had a great first half, was making threes, doing well, and then Sloot played more in the second half, I think, than Kayla, and I think that didn't help us either because, and it's not like Sloot was playing bad, but the energy is completely different with Kayla and then with Sloot, and it was kind of like we needed someone to like get us going because the frustration with like the bad passes, and I think there was like 7 turnovers in the 3rd quarter, and there was only like 7 or 8 in the first half. So you have 1 quarter where you just had as many turnovers as you previously had in 2 other quarters, and so then it just got messy. And I will say this again about, like I said on the other podcast, I have a very hard time not cheering for Minnesota when they do well because I like them so much. So I was on the phone with my friend, literally saying like, "Oh, get it together, man! Minnesota, you're playing really well." Like it was literally like 2 sides of my head because I like Minnesota. My favorite team early on was Seattle, and I just like Minnesota. This is such a team, and so if there's any team that I would have picked or chosen to win besides us, I like this. I like this team. I like this. I like Minnesota. They're such a team. But yeah, that 3rd quarter was frustrating because it was the dagger. That's all you can say. It was the dagger.
Yeah, no, 100%. And on that point you're saying about Minnesota, I also feel they are just a team that just gets the job done, and like they don't play dirty in comparison to other teams. They're not. I mean, I know there was some talk in this game, like Heidemann and Courtney Williams talking about like getting that money, kind of like teasing the crowd a little bit. But you know what? I just think fair enough. Like it's such a big game, and you do have some quite big personalities on that team, and I'm all for it. Like if you wanna be making money signs to the crowd when the game's not over yet, like, I like the confidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I just think that Minnesota, they're a really great team, but the main, like, power that they have over the league is that they're so efficient. If you look at their stat lines from that
Mm.
game, they only had 10 turnovers. They were 100% from the free throw line, and they had 26 assists as well. Like, they just work so well together and are so efficient in all, like, the little small details that it just pulled them over in that game, and I think what you're saying about their defense was just incredible. I mean, every time there were so many passes that the Liberty made that I was like, why would you think that was a sensible pass? Like, think about how strong the defense has been for the entirety of the game, and we were just making sloppy passes. There were
Oh
loads of
my
passes
gosh.
that just went way over, like, JG's head, and it was like, just what? It's just it was just messy. It was like we weren't expecting them to, like, come out that strong, and we just panicked, like, we didn't know what to do.
Well, and there was like with Sabrina, she was extremely frustrated, and we talked earlier about how much Sabrina and JJ mentally have feel like matured, and they've been in this league for a bit, JJ a little bit longer, but like mentally they've both matured where they kind of get over things faster and move on and then just keep playing. It didn't happen in this game. Sabrina had 7 turnovers and was so visibly frustrated. Like, you can be frustrated, like, right after it happens. I get that, let it out. You're always gonna do that, but then it just kept carrying on, and so that's why just, you know, I don't know, it was frustrating. That's all you can say. It's very frustrating, and Minnesota's the only team in the league that has more assists per game than we do. And we have started and we had high turnovers at the beginning of the year, and then we've dropped them really, really well. And then this game, 20 turnovers for the Libs and 24 assists. And so, like you talk about the efficiency of 26 and 10 for assisted turnovers for the Lynx, there it is. And that is the third quarter. So 7 turnovers in the third quarter. If you would have ended up with, you know, 14, 15, like those 5 possessions, you make 2 shots in those 5 possessions. Hey, guess what? Hey, we could be tied. It's just such a simple difference. But I'm gonna throw out something I said also on the W podcast about Minnesota. They looked so happy playing that game. And my comment in the other podcast was it should have been an ad for a dentist office because they were smiling so much at one point, like everybody, and it was just so nice to see joy because I think there's some like seriousness, like sometimes I think there's like people that are too serious or like overconfidence that's cocky. They just looked like they were having fun, and even in Courtney doing the money signs at the end of the game to the crowd and stuff, it I don't feel like it was because it wasn't too like a player, it was just kind of like with the bench and with the crowd to be like, "Yeah, we got it." That was just kind of like, again, joyful and not like vindictive, it was just fun, and so I was just frustrated for the Libs, but also like, "Yeah, girl, you earned it. Yep, good for you, get that
Yeah,
money."
and
Yeah,
I
so
think Courtney
I
Williams,
yeah.
she's just such a lovable player. Like, I've always really liked her energy. I love her playing style as well, but I just really, really love her energy. And yeah, it's just like when you have players like that you do really have a lot of respect for. It's like you can't. It's hard to be mad. Like, you're frustrated for the Libs, but like it was well deserved by the Lynx.
Yes. They earned that win. It was good. I mean, last year we won a little more comfortably over Vegas. Like it was kind of like, yeah, we had it a little bit earlier in the game, whereas the Libs kept fighting back and got right in it, losing by 5. But it's frustrating not to get all the money this year or more money this year. But congrats to the Lynx. Um, yeah, I like Cheryl Reeve and the Lynx. And speaking of Cheryl Reeve, she is the Olympic coach. So, she's in there just coaching against her players and Sabrina and Stewie. And I'm just kind of like, Cheryl, like, do you want me to play good? Do you want me to play well for you at the Olympics? Like, tone it down a little bit here. Like, I would just love to hear it be something that'd be said over there. And then a Lynx player besides Nafisa Collier that is on the Olympic team is Bridget Carlton, who I thought should have been the MVP of this, who is going to be playing for Canada in the Olympics. And speaking of the Olympics, even though it is a few weeks away, someone gets to go to the Olympics and someone gets to go see Team USA play Germany in London for a prep game, a warm up game. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, I've been lucky enough to get tickets to see, 2 of the men's basketball games. I believe last time I checked, this is bad. I don't really keep up with the men's basketball because women's
Yeah.
basketball is so much better. But,
I don't see a
I
shirt
believe
that
it's
says everyone watches men's sports. I don't see that shirt out,
I know,
you know?
me neither.
Yeah. Everyone watches
Um,
women's sports. Yeah.
it's yeah, it's a Canada, um, versus last time I checked, it was an undecided team, and then it was Australia against an undecided team. So, I'm going to see that in at the Olympics in France, and then the week before that, I am seeing the women's USA team against the women's Germany team. So I'm so excited,
You
so
get to
excited.
see 3 libs, 3 libs
Yeah,
with
I know.
Stewie, Ionescu, and Ibic. So you get 3.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be great.
yep,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
So
so much fun.
I am excited for you. All right, so after the Commissioners Cup game, Sunday, the Liberty are playing the Dream. This is totally different than the first time than they when they played the Dream earlier that we just covered. They did not kill them in the first half. They had their lowest scoring first quarter that they've had this whole year, only scoring 13 points. But came around in the second quarter and they were only down 41-36 at halftime after being down 13-24. And then in the third quarter, get the lead back like in the quarter and have the lead by one. Once they got the lead back in the third quarter, didn't relinquish it and win 81-75 over Atlanta. So you're playing the same team twice in a week, and that's going to happen upcoming. They're going to play the Sky within a couple days of each other. Same thing with the Sun. They'll play them within a week. This happens. So I really liked this win because they shot so badly in that first quarter. It was like under 28%. It was abysmal, and still figure out a way to win this game. Go Libs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a rough first quarter when you're only scoring, 13 points. It's not the way that you wanna start the game, so, props to the Libs for getting that momentum back because that can be incredibly difficult, and like what we've spoken about with, like, JJ and Sabrina, when you're down like that against a team, not only that you know you can beat, but that you just bet, like, you just absolutely annihilated. It is so frustrating, to then come out and only score 13 points, like, so, yeah, props to them for bringing it back and just putting their foot on the gas because they won every single other quarter in that game. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, just like ended up coming out, showing up. We had 25 assists that game, and we also pushed the Dream to 18 turnovers to our 7 turnovers. So ended up being a lot better in the end, and it meant we scored 22 points off of their turnovers as well. So yeah,
Just killed it when it comes to switching it up after having a bad turnover game. Just to attack the Dream and have that flip because even though they were shooting poorly, they got shots off. Eventually, something's going to fall, and then it did. But I think Rebecca Lobo, when I was watching the game, said something that was very like AAU basketball that everything for the Liberty in that first quarter was on the right side, and everybody's right handed, so you're going to go to the right. And they didn't rotate the ball at all because how the angle was from the camera and the court they were playing on, everything was away from like farther away from the camera. And I was like, are you guys? I thought the same thing right when she said it. I was like, why are we moving the ball? And then she said it, and I was like, right on, Rebecca Lobo, thank you. So then got better ball rotation and did well to come back in that game. But man, good job on the turnovers. And yeah, as much as I was frustrated with Sloot playing, because I thought Kayla Thornton should have been in the Commissioner's Cup, Sloot came back in this game and had 7 assists and led the team in assists in this game. So she's back, get, working on the game fitness, but that was key for the momentum, and it was it was good. And even though JJ didn't have a good game, positively she was a good momentum for us. and having like she had 5 points and 4 rebounds, but there wasn't a drop off with any kind of like emotional or like attitude frustrations in this game, which I think kept everybody in it because 81 points is an okay scoring game. Like not our usual 90, but um, it definitely wasn't our best game, but still got the W.
Yeah, exactly, and that's all we can ask for at the end of the day. We just need the W.
Just need the W. Just need the W. All right. So most recently, oh my goodness. So we're playing the Lynx literally last night. And I was like, are they going to be 3-0 against us this year? Are we the Sun and are they the Libs from last year where they cannot beat us? Like, or where we cannot beat them. And it felt like that for a very long time. And then I just it was just one of those I'm like, oh gosh, this game's low scoring. They're going to get it. This is where they thrive. And I was just kind of like taking these breaths, like, nope, we're staying it through gritted teeth. And there was a couple calls to start the fourth quarter that I thought could have like made us lose our minds, and they didn't. And we pull off and have an 18-8 fourth quarter to win by 9 points, outscore them by 10 in the fourth quarter to win by 9 points against the Lynx. If you would have told me that we only scored 76 points, we didn't even score 80, I would have said the Lynx won for sure. So
Yeah,
defensively, what an excellent fourth quarter. 18 points for us. I wouldn't think that'd be a good fourth quarter for us. But when we hold the
no,
Lynx to 8, I'm good. I'm good.
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. That's to have a team, not just a team, the team that is currently 3rd in the league and that have just won the Commissioner's Cup, to hold them to only 8 points in any quarter is crazy. So props to the defense. Like we stepped up. I think we must have had a little bit of a chip on our shoulder as well after coming off our Commissioner's Cup win last year to come this year and lose in what was such a frustrating game. I can imagine they were like, nah, no,
Nah,
no, no. We cannot lose again to this team this season.
can't. It's just it was it was definitely something because we talked about how they shot poorly. This is a nice little foreshadowing against Atlanta and then still pulled out the win. We were only less than 22% from 3-point range in this game against the Lynx. It was, again, I'm going to use my word to describe bad shooting, abysmal. And still won. Like 7 of 32 from the 3-point line. That was insane. But I'm gonna go back with the most impressive stat of the game. Well, it's because no one was really making any shots. Minnesota wasn't shooting that well either. And then at the end of the game had like a 7-minute drought where they didn't score. But we had 45 rebounds. Stewie had 17 rebounds and 17 points. And then JJ had like what I call like the inverse. She had 21 points and 12 rebounds. And so, hey, guess what? JJ's worst games this year have been against the Lynx, not last night. Not anymore, is what they
Yeah.
can say.
No, it's awesome to see, and just like what you were saying about the past 2 games, I mean, JJ did not have good games for the past 2, but it's great to see again her mental maturity where okay, 2 games in a row she's not played well and she has not let that completely wipe her out for like a significant portion of the season. She's come back firing, and I think as well JJ is just one of the players on the team who know how to use that energy and how to use that kind of chip on your shoulder to your advantage
Mhm.
sometimes, and I think that's exactly what she did in this game. She came out 21 points, 12 rebounds, just like an incredible game. 3 from 6 from the 3-point line. She's shooting better from 3 than Sabrina right now. Like
Yep.
Sabrina 1 from 10, and in the past 2 games she was 2 from 11 as well, which it's crazy for a big like JJ to be scoring 50% from free. So yeah, just a great game for JJ.
Well, and you mentioned Sabrina, she was 1 from 10 from 3. So you take and she's 6 from 10 from 2-point range. Sabrina was questionable for this game. She had an illness and she looked like she was gonna pass out when she was sitting on the bench. And then said that she had electrolyte gum. I'm looking into that because I would love to have some electrolyte gum just to just
Yeah.
be chewing around and give me some energy and keep everything going. So, despite the poor shooting from 3-point range, because yeah, besides that, Sabrina, besides the bad shooting from 3-point range, had a great game. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, had 17 points, had 1 rebound, and literally looked like she needed to take a nap and was going to pass out. And as a team, the Libs only had 8 turnovers against the Lynx. Not as many assists, but because everybody was missing all the shots, but 8 turnovers. So you go from 1 week later, you have 12 less turnovers in a game. I mean, this is one of those where it's like, we could have done this last week. We would have had so much more money.
Yeah.
But but that the ultimate goal is not a Commissioner's Cup win. Like that is like goal number two. The ultimate goal is to get a WNBA championship. So this is such a good step in that direction because the improvement in beating Minnesota, because Minnesota is
Yeah.
I really thought that they were going to get us last night. I thought it was just Minnesota's just going to have our number. So that made me incredibly happy with the resilience of the team in the game. And that's what I want to see the rest of the season. Like maturity, resilience, learning, improvement. That's how champions are made.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think it's also just reassuring because I feel like sometimes it can get a little bit superstitious where I mean like last year I was against Connecticut. We just kept beating them. And you kind of get scared that like, oh god, there could be a team that come in and we just can't win against them. So it's just reassuring to know like, okay, we can beat Minnesota and it's not going to be this like, oh, if we get matched up against them, that's it. Our championship runs over. So
Yeah.
yeah, just really reassuring.
Well, one of my favorite memories from last year is when I told you to not look up the score in the third time we played the Sun because we were down by 19 with like 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. I'm like, don't check the score, just watch the game. Because it was such a crazy turn and twist about what happened, and it kind of like just made me just so happy. And I was just like, don't you dare do it. You're gonna ruin it. I almost turned, like, that game, like, off, and I was like, "What are you doing? This is ridiculous, blah, 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 blah," and it was just incredibly frustrating for me, and then they, like, made a shot, and I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm gonna keep watching this game," and I was like, "Ooh, what? Huh? What? So, yeah, that's yeah, so it's like we had the Suns' number last year. Now, back to our ill Sabrina, who was able to push through and have a pretty good game besides the 3-point line. Maybe it was blurry or farther away. That's why she couldn't see the rim as well last night because, like I said, she looked like she was going to pass out. Sabrina Ionescu is the June Eastern Conference Player of the Month. And not only is this impressive for getting that over so many talented players. But the fact that she went from having, used to playing the two to stepping in and filling a spot because Sloot's gone because of, her family, thinking of Sloot because of issues in the family, that Sabrina averaged 19.8 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game this month. So almost 20 points, almost passing. Well, it depending on if they're 3 pointers, 15 points a game, with her passes. So a part of 35 points a game and still getting almost 5 rebounds. It was like vintage college Sabrina just killing it. And so
Yeah.
this was an impressive month for her after we kind of like talked about how she hadn't been shooting well at all in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Hey, heads up, guys! I'm coming. I'm here. I'm here for it."
Yeah, I'm back. And again, we've said this in a few episodes, but just the most impressive thing for me about Sabrina is that okay, yeah, like she like the other day and the other few games, she had a really bad shooting game from the three, but she still scored loads of points because just so significantly improved on her 2-point game and her driving in this season, and it's so nice to see. And I think that's also majorly come from the fact that she is now playing more Sloot's position while she's been covering for her, so naturally she's not always in the position to be shooting the best threes. So it's just really, really nice to see her just adapt her game, not even adapt her game, but just like bring back her game that I feel kind of got overshadowed by her incredible shooting talents from three. Um, So yeah, I just think it's really well deserved, and as much as you can be critical of someone for maybe not performing as well from three, she's still putting up big time points for the Libs. So respect to her.
This is her, and not the stats. This is the highest scoring season she's had as a pro. And this is her it is not her highest rebounding, but this is her highest assist so far as a pro. So this is just what needs to happen, and it's literally like one assist, not even a whole assist better than she had a couple of years ago. But if you're just like these little tiny things, especially because last year she went, back to the two with Sloot, but little tiny improvements, and her improvement from last year's scoring is 1.7 points. I mean, we lost game 4 in the finals last year by a point. 1.7 points
Yeah.
makes a difference.
Yeah.
It's all these little inches. And talking about her improvement going back to college where she can drive in the lane, well, she's adjusted to driving to making sure she gets the floater and finishing because everybody's taller in the W because you only have the best. And so just the adjustments and the learning and the improvement is impressive. And she's had like 3 shots, I swear, in the past week where she's driven in. There's been pretty good defense, and she's like kind of thrown the ball up from her hip, but gets her shoulders square and it goes in. And I don't know why that was it. I don't think it was a good shot, but the finish is smart because she's strong enough to be able to get square to give the ball a chance to go in.
Yeah.
And last year, if she'd drive and do that, she couldn't physically square up, where then the ball had no shot. And that
Yeah.
is, as she said, is attributed to she hasn't had to rehab an injury this offseason. So
Yeah.
those are helpful things to not be hurt, so you can do well. Um, and then I'm going to throw out it's last night, Manijah kind of had like it looked like she knocked a knee because she had a knee injury that kind of kept her out a couple games. She knocked a knee and then came back in. So I'm happy that that was not significant. It was just a knock, and then they iced her, and then she was back. And I was like, oh gosh, we cannot lose. We cannot lose Manijah Hamilton. That would be significantly bad. Like, of course, we can't really lose
Yeah.
anybody, that was one of the moments from last night's game that I was just like, "Oh gosh." So when she came in the 4th quarter and we were down, I was just, "Okay, she's back. Okay, we got a shot." And then I was like, "Do we have a shot? It's Minnesota. Are they gonna own us? Do we have a shot? Okay, we have a shot. We're ahead. Okay, this is good. Keep going. Minnesota's not scoring. This is great. Good. We got our heads. Yay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes." That was if you could watch a game with me, I feel like you would be like, "You need to calm down." You would Taylor Swift me, like, "Tell me to calm down." Because
No,
that
I feel
is
like I'm like
the
that
energy
too.
you're bringing. Yeah.
Like
What?
like I'm like shouting at my screen, and they score and I'm like, "Hi!" And then my brother, I was on holiday and I was like screaming, and my brother walked in and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Like this is I was like, "Why are you giving me attitude? This is what you do every day
Yeah.
when you're watching football. Like give me my space, you know?"
Oh, yeah. It I laugh, though, when I do watch, like, with my watch going, if I'm at a game and I'm kind of doing something, because then you can like, somehow I get steps in on my watch because 'cause I'm just like, "What is," and just keep, like,
Yeah.
the frantic movement. One time I went to a volleyball match, and I'm pretty sure it said I walked 2 miles, and I was standing in my seat, like, and just into it because it was just all kinds of movement, because volleyball is just fast, and I was just like, "Yeah, apparently I walked 2 miles just standing there." So I was like, "Good job. Good job for me." Well, so the Libs went 4-0 in regular season this week. They are sitting atop of the standings, just killing it at 17-3. I mean, then you got Connecticut at 15-4, Minnesota and Seattle, and Vegas is coming back. They were 6-6, and now they got a 5-game winning streak. So, I mean, Chelsea Gray's back, even though Chelsea's just enough just to get like that little extra push. So I'm always going to be worried about Vegas. But for the Libs, coming up this week on Saturday, they play the Fever. So we've done well against the Fever. Fever have significantly improved and actually have gotten some rest. And we're in Indiana. Can those young children beat our grown women? That's the question. That's a little insulting to Indiana. They're just young. They're women.
Yeah.
We're women. Like,
No,
are they? Is this group of young women gonna beat the Liberty on Saturday? That's the question.
No, no,
No, I'm in
they're not
agreement, they're
gonna
not
win.
gonna but, I mean,
I
I
think
think
it'll
Caitlin
be an
will score more than
entertaining
3
game.
points. Yeah. It's like, last game,
Yeah,
she only scored 3 points because she was exhausted. So, Caitlin's gonna
yeah.
score more than 3 points. But yeah, the Libs are gonna win. And then, next week, on Wednesday, at 9 in the morning Eastern Time, which I don't
It's crazy.
oh gosh. I feel like those would be the cheapest tickets in the planet to get to. Where what are you doing this
Yeah,
Wednesday morning? I'm gonna go to a WNBA game. That just feels insulting.
I know.
Okay, cool. Like, I hope that, like, daycares or, like, young childhood, like, I think they have like, I hope they got all the tickets, like Boys and Girls Club. I hope they're getting taken to
Yeah.
this game. I wanna see a bunch of kids there. Um, they're playing the Sun in Connecticut. Do we still have the Sun's
Mm.
number?
I yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Libs. I think we've been on a pretty strong r right, I know we've had our loss versus Mercury and we had our loss against the Lynx, but I really think that we're gonna go on another run. I see it for us. So, yes to the Fever, yes to the Sun. I think it's gonna be a close game, and I love this
I think
matchup. I love this matchup.
yes.
Like, the absolute defensive force of the Sun versus the offensive force that is the Liberty. It's just so fun to watch. So, I'm gonna give it to the Libs. I think it will be a very close game, but I give it to the Libs.
I'm gonna go with the Sun. I feel like the Sun started off hot and then they've cooled, and I think they're gonna refocus and get us, and we're on a pretty good winning streak from the regular season. So I'm gonna give it to the Sun. I mean, the Sun just lost to the Dream, and I feel like they're gonna be like chomping at the bit, and I just don't see us like, sweeping the Sun again for another regular season. I don't see that happening. I knew they were gonna win and break the Suns', like, undefeated streak this year. Like, there was no doubt in my mind. I'm like, "The Libs are gonna win this one." This one, I'm gonna lean toward the Sun. And then after that, before the Olympic break, they'll have 2 games against the Sky, 1 at home, 1 in Chicago. I'll be at the one in Chicago, and then they'll have the Sun at home. So this is not an easy schedule, these last 5 games before the Olympic break. They've got Fever, then they've got 2 games against the Sun, and 2 games against the Sky. The Sky have gotten us this year, again, the young team. Um, we'll see how they do in these next 2 games before I give my predictions for next week, but we'll only have 2 games next week that we'll cover, and then after that, we'll have the 3 before the Olympic break. But yeah, I say 1 and 1. Kirstin says 2 and 0 in the next week. We'll see who is right. I hope it's Kirstin. Um, but I
Me
also
too.
I also just kind of, like, don't want the Libs to lose at my game. They were close to losing last year when I saw them in Dallas. So I'm like,
Yeah.
them to lose against Chicago. So I'm like, would it help if they had a loss before they played Chicago? Would that make them win? I don't know. I don't, it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we got this.
And so win all the games, but 17 and 3, best start in franchise history. This is I was not expecting to be this good of a start so far. Halfway through the season. What did you think? Did you think they were gonna be this good?
No,
I mean,
honestly,
yeah,
no. I thought there was gonna be a lot more. The thing is, it's difficult with WNBA teams because all the players go overseas during what would be like the basketball regular season, I suppose. So it's hard. They don't get the chance to be like training very often during that time to kind of be mingling together. So I just naturally thought, okay, yeah, we had great chemistry last year, but it's gonna be tough again this year to kind of get all of that back because there's so many star players in the team. Naturally, it's difficult to find a balance. So I think we found a good balance last year, but it just wasn't enough for the championship. So I was a bit unsure of how the season was going to kind of plan out and how that long break was going to affect our team, especially with them all being such big stars on their international teams. So I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. I thought it would be tougher. I think there were a lot of things I wasn't expecting, to be honest, but I'm very glad that that we have started so strong. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, I thought like 15 and 5 for the first 20. 17 and 3 is impressive, you know.
yeah,
It's and I know it's only 2 games, but I mean, that's a huge 2
it
games.
makes a difference. Yeah.
All right, so before we go, we're gonna throw out something that I think we're gonna be in agreement on, and we did not talk about this beforehand, and you have no idea what this question's gonna be, and I think that some other people are gonna be happy with what I feel will be the answer because I feel like there's only one correct answer. As of right now, who is the league's MVP?
Ooh. Um. Oh, I am gonna have to. I really don't know what your opinion is on this right now.
Well, I know what my
I'm
opinion
gonna
is.
I'm gonna be honest and say that it's Asia Wilson.
Yeah, it's definitely Asia. That's the correct answer.
Yeah, okay,
Like,
you kinda
I
scared me
was
there,
like,
Stacia. I was like,
there's
please don't throw anything."
oh no, there's nothing bad. There, and this is why I think that the other podcast will be happy. There is no doubt as of halfway through Wilson, and I know they have 17 games, that Asia Wilson is having the best season of her career, and it is ridiculously good. And I think it's just a big middle finger to that fourth place vote from last year.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Asia Wilson
yeah,
is the league MVP. I think
yeah,
that
there's
Sabrina's on first team WNBA this year, despite not shooting as well from the three because just the expansion. That's what I would say. Um, and Stewie's going to be up there, but I think Sabrina right now is having her best season so far, and I think she's going to be first team all WNBA. She's on the best team, and she's just killing it when it comes to all kinds of stats. So that's where I go with Sabrina. And oh gosh, it's weird to say, like, a part of me wants to be like, Sabrina's one of the most improved, even though it's very subtle, but it's such an
yeah.
improvement. So,
And
well,
it's so difficult as well when you are such a talented player and you are known for such a specific thing, for being the best three-point shooter in the league, um, to still manage to improve. It's it's so strange to say because you think, of course, like such a great player will know how to improve, but it's so hard when you're put into that specific category to improve in other categories to such a significant extent. So, yeah, I would agree with you on that one. But yeah,
yeah,
100%. Aja Wilson,
yeah.
like she is absolutely killing it.
All right.
She
So,
has
I
peak
mean,
consistency.
oh gosh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Everything that everyone ever wanted her to be.
yeah.
That's what it is. Uh, so here's a more difficult question. I mean, it's two candidates. Who's the rookie of the year?
Oh. uh, ooh, this is really tough. I feel like
It is.
people have a very a lot of people have a very set in stone answer, and I don't think it is based off of basketball ability or skill set. I think it is purely like a social position that people are taking. You're either hating Angel Reese or you're hating Caitlin Clark, and there's no in between. Um. Oh, that's so tough. I really don't know. I I've been so impressed with the way Caitlin's come into the league. And I think I'm not surprised though. I I expected that she was gonna come into the league and she was gonna perform as well as she has. I did not expect that Angel was gonna come into the league and perform this well.
Yeah.
I thought she would do well, but I've been like, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Um,
She
it's
leads the
tough
league
because
in
it's
rebounds. How she leads the league
yeah.
in rebounds right now. Like, does anyone want to box her out? That is the question, and that's what I will be yelling when I see them in Chicago. Put a body on this girl, on this
Yeah.
woman. It's
It's
ridiculous.
it's so tough,
Yeah,
and that's just it, like, they're both putting up crazy point stats, but it's like and then Caitlin's got some, like, really great assists going on, but I just think that to to be getting the rebounding stats that Angel Reese has been getting in a league where there are people that are so, so much taller and so much bigger than her, And then also to be scoring so many points, I just think that is more impressive to me, if I'm honest with you. I think it takes more hustle, and I think Caitlyn has an incredible skill where like she can shoot from crazy range. She could pull up in a defender's face, she can create the shot, and that's great. But I think to have the physical strength and she like Angel Reese, she's a dog. Like she sees the ball and she just has that drive that other people simply just don't have. That's why she's getting rebounds. Like she wants that ball and she doesn't care how she's getting it.
I'm
I just think
I'm
that's more
I know
impressive.
I have the tiebreaker because the Fever blew the game against the Sky pretty much because no one decided to stop Angel the last game, and because the Fever were playing well, they had the pick and roll going, and then whatever broke down, and then Angel was like, "Give me the ball, I'm gonna figure this out," and she literally did. But right now, the
Yeah,
Fever have won 2 games, and the Skies won 1 in their series. So the last game that those 2 play is August 30th. If the Fever can beat the Sky to be up 3-1 in the series, that in my mind will give Caitlyn the edge because her team
yeah,
has won more in head to head. And like there's been 2 of the games have been 1-point games. One won by the Fever, one won by the Sky. And the other one was like a little bit bigger that the Fever won. So I feel like that is one of the bigger barometers because these 2 teams are literally fighting for the last playoff spot too. So that's gonna be a huge game
yeah,
to, like, flip it because if they're tied, then they're gonna go head to head, and that's why I remember when Angel did the interview after they came back, and I'm just gonna say that the Fever blew that game. They had a lead, they should have won it. They should have been up 3-1. She goes, "Yeah," she's like, "But they still got, like, up on us, 2-1." Angel said that they still had up on us, so it's gonna be very interesting, and I'm really looking forward to the second half of the season to see how well Caitlin can get her turnovers down on that improvement
yeah,
because she's turning over, but also she gets everyone's best defender, and they throw 2 people at her a lot, and so
yeah,
there's a lot of weight there, whereas Angel's got so many more guards that have experience to get her the ball. And so there's a different they play 2 different positions. It's tough, but man, I mean, Caitlin's 3rd in the league, I think, in assists, and Angel's 1 in rebounds, and these are, the rookies. So I I right now, the Sky percentage-wise, that's it, because the Fever have more wins, but they played more games. I right now am leaning toward Caitlyn because they have the 2-1 advantage over the Sky, even though the Sky are in the last playoff spot. But these are very interesting questions that all the media and everyone that votes are going to have to ask themselves. Right now, I
yeah,
give a slight edge to Caitlyn. Uh, she has the ball in her hands more,
yeah,
and they've won twice. If the Sky pull off the win, and Angel still can out rebound Asia to lead the league in rebounds, I may think otherwise. And then also just depends on how well Caitlin's turnovers go down. But yeah, that's
yeah,
our extra 2 cents that aren't the libs. But yeah, this is just another battle between these 2 for rookie of the year.
yeah.
It's nuts. But
It's so fun
excellent,
to watch though.
excellent. Yeah. It's just I'm trying to think if like Magic Johnson said that Larry Bird and I elevated the league when they both came in because they're drastically different players. And these 2 have elevated people seeing the league because they're drastically different players. And so I just want everybody to be better on the internet and appreciate what they both can do. That's the nice way of
Yeah,
saying it. Yeah, but they're
yeah,
excellent. I'm gonna keep watching that because I really am curious to know where my vote lies because I am oh, it's razor thin on which one you're voting for. So it's gonna be interesting who
yeah,
gets that award. Um, and it's gonna be interesting which team makes the playoffs because I think one of them will. So literally, one of them will, one of them won't. If they both end up doing it, kudos to them for what they brought to their teams. But
yeah.
alright, so, going back to the libs, Sabrina Ionescu, June, Eastern Conference Player of the Month, well deserved, had a good game besides the three-point line last night to finally beat Minnesota this year, like, for the 3rd time they play. They only play 3 times in the regular season, I believe, so that is huge. They need to get another one, the next one, so then they can have the series, so that if it comes to playoff time, they can have like the edge over Minnesota for home court advantage. But right now, the Libs in first place, 17-3, have 2 games this week against the Fever and the Sun. I say the Sun are going to beat them. Kirstin says they're going to go undefeated in these 2 games. We will see. Like I said, I hope she's right, but we will see you guys next week. And for Across the Pond Liberty, I'm Stacia.
And I'm Kirsten.
Right. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.